Here we go.
Here we go.
Is that going to affect Colin with his black hammer?
Pause. Nate was the only storm guy in the ladder, so it was the U78 against the black hammers.
Fire flush, you know.
You don't know how to say balls, do you?
What?
You said U78.
Okay.
So IQ 78U.
I've never thrown it, so to be fair, give me a break. I've never thrown the ball, so sorry. The red ball.
We're just going to call it that.
The red urethane.
I was the only one to throw the red ball in the finals.
Yes. Sorry. I was just trying to hype you up. Sorry I said it wrong.
Yeah, but I don't know. This is going to be interesting. I'm shocked that he's not going to be using urethane.
Okay. I have to preface this. Nate threw the red ball the entire time. And it was just which one he threw. So going into that, he decided to throw reactive going into the final match because this lane was kind of squirrely. So they kind of understand.
Yeah, both lanes were in practice. I could get anywhere from 9 to 6 with urethane, and I didn't think that was going to win. So the last couple shots of practice, I threw reactive and I struck. So I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do. This is what I'm going to go with. And yeah, so we started with reactive.
Yeah, which was the first time he really threw reactive since the last couple games of qualifying block, the first day.
Yeah.
Wide right, yes.
I was shocked.
He got out of rhythm a little bit on the first shot, and it looked like he flew out of his shoes the very first shot, so the ball never slowed down. So it was kind of interesting to see the first shot kind of be like that.
Yeah, I think it's also because you had the 8 shots and he didn't have any other shots going into that.
Oh, no. And seemed a little dissatisfied with his approach.
So at this point, when I see my opponent kind of, miss open in the first frame, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty confident I'm going to throw this one good. And that's not what happened.
Garcia does start with reactive and a blue right by the 9.
Either an OG idol or that might be an optimum idol.
It was the OG. To be fair, because you had not thrown reactive really,
from where he finished
I couldn't tell if it was a bad shot because that lane was so bad. I was like, maybe it just was the lane.
Yeah.
So when you told me it was a bad shot, I was kind of shocked.
Yeah, I cut it off. I really didn't trust it. But I was very lucky to get a 9-pin.
Yeah. Well, after you told me it was a bad shot, I was like, okay, we'll take a 9-pin.
Yeah.
Did you do this to slow down the match?
No.
Okay, I was wondering.
I went like this. I squeezed it, so I needed more tape.
Yeah, I was just I know sometimes you do the tape to not slow down the opponent, but to give yourself some extra time, almost like a
that
kind of.
I don't really kind of do that all the time. It's mainly just because my thumb fluctuates a lot, and I just need to change the tape or add another piece.
Top 4?
Yes. Well, they were eligible.
So
Yeah, we knew Nate was eligible for the RPI before this match even started, so that was a plus. Less pressure on that.
Staying reactive. And
that's great.
blasting.
Man.
Absolutely blasting. And that was the Nate Garcia path to happiness, only with urethane, not with reactive, but he just has been absolutely crushing pins. Today, or let's see, actually his whole list of games, his low score is 174. He only had one other game under 200.
He's lucky he shot 174 that
Here, and
game.
he got an excellent reaction for champion off of the open frame.
Yeah, so at this point, Colin had a good look. I had a good look. I felt I was pretty confident, especially on that left lane when I struck. I'm like, okay, I can get it right. It's going to come back from anywhere, so I have that lane. And when I stone 9, I'm like, okay, it was a bad shot, but we can make a better, shot on that lane. And you guys will see up in the coming frames that I did not do that. So
I'm also going to just point out the fact, knowing Colin's a player that when he opens, he's going to throw the next 7. So
yeah.
I was an open's not necessarily the best thing when Colin has a chance to have the rest of the game.
No.
Oh, yes. Back trip on the 9-pin.
You got that trip on the bad lane. I was like, oh, wow.
So we did bowl on twister pins, Brunswick twister pins, some kind of plastic pins. They acted like twister pins, and pins were flying all weekend. So I tend to like twister pins. My ball roll matches up to just kind of sending them everywhere. So when I saw that, I felt like I had a pretty good advantage this week.
Look out, Brooklyn. 5'10"?
I'm not gonna lie. I sat there when he did that. I was like, all right, what am I gonna tell him when he loses this match?
Yeah.
Only because I was like, again, when I see Colin has the double and he threw it that bad, I'm like, I know if he threw reactive, like to kind of preface before we kind of go into the next couple frames, I was already thinking, I'm like, okay, I know he threw that shot bad, but if he comes back here and tells me that he still wants to throw reactive after he throws it again on the left lane, me and him are going to have an issue because I'm like sitting there, I'm like, if your bad shot is a 5'10", you're going to have to switch to urethane, and I thought he was going to fight me on it.
Not at all. I completely agree. I hadn't left the 5'10" all week, so
I was like, oh my God.
But even watching it back now, like, yes, it was in down lane, but it's still like, it wasn't that bad down lane, and it took off. So I'm like, this isn't the right play.
Yeah, thank God he was already thinking that.
That's the type of reaction you were going to see.
I feel like you were a little bit slower too.
I was definitely being slower, for sure.
That's got to, oh my goodness. Well, I'm
Yep.
a little confused.
I would be thinking that maybe the fifth frame, you might see back to the right.
Wow.
At least Eric called it.
I mean, he must have.
To be fair, like, you didn't strike it all in practice.
I didn't.
At this point, we're just in full, like, all right, let's figure this out.
Yeah, I went back there. We talked a little bit. The first thing out of my mouth is like, I'm going to lose this match because didn't have great ball reaction with the urethane. Thought I had better ball reaction with reactive. That clearly wasn't the case. So now it's brainstorming mode.
For me, when he was coming back, I was thinking, all right, like, if he really doesn't want to switch to urethane, I'm going to have to just kind of sell him on the fact that at this point, it's whoever can kind of carry, like, whatever he does. And it's like, again, are we going to try to take the chance with a 5-10, 1-2-4 reaction?
Yeah.
Or are we going to try to trip the 4-5 out or trip the 10 out? That's just kind of like my thinking is like, whoever won this match was going to just be whoever got the little bit of extra carry. And that's just how you have to win sometimes.
Yep.
Look out there. He got a big break, tripping up the.
Is a 257 max score. Nate's got a 248 max score, so it's still a close match.
Well,
when I look at the scoreboard, I look like I have 2-0 left. That's what I feel like.
Maybe.
Oh, yes.
10 out.
No, maybe about it.
That was a good one.
And that's the other thing he was doing. But look at this. Now, he had been lofting with urethane near the end today. He did it again, and this time did not.
So at this point, I think I'm done. In the nicest way possible. Like, I don't think I'm completely done, but I'm just like, all right, I was too deep. The ball didn't slow down in the right spot. So I just need to make a small move to the right. It should pick up because it's picked up all week in that zone. So I'm like, let's just make this fair, find something on the left lane. He misses again, it's a closer match. And at this point, I have 230-something max. If he misses again, he has 230-something max. So we're close. But ball reaction-wise, it doesn't look like I'm going to shoot 180.
Yeah, to be fair, I've never seen you leave the 1-2-4 like
so many times.
Like, I've never.
Or the 4-5 4 times in a weekend. That was fun.
Yeah, I've never. Yeah, the 4-5 was definitely his best round this weekend.
Yeah.
He looks a little confused right now.
I was so nervous you shooting the 1-2. Like, that's such a hard
Especially
thing.
with that one, that was my more aggressive one. I was hoping to got it and go offline too quick.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, he's not lined up. Like, that's like the hardest spare to shoot when you're not lined up. The 1-2-4. Like, give me any other spare. Literally give me the 7-10 and I'll like think I have a better chance of that than the 1-2-4 not being lined up. I'm dead serious. I was a little nervous when you didn't come back and talk to me before the next shot.
Oh no, that's fine.
No, only because I was like, mentally, I hope he doesn't think he's out of it. Like, I was like,
No.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not over.
I know you don't give up, but I was like,
it was just like, damn, I don't want to go out like this.
No, literally, that was what I was like. I just.
So that's there it was. That one was going more at it.
Yeah.
So much better shot.
This just tells you, by the way, I wasn't looking at score. I had absolutely no idea what Colin was doing. I know he had a decent look, but I knew that I still wasn't out of it if I could find it. It was very weird.
You get the 4 out. Definitely.
So he went high again, and this is the point where I'm like, okay, now I feel like I found it. I've struck twice. He struck 3 times in my head. That's what I remember. And I'm like, okay, it's a closer game than I actually think. I'm going to get after it. As long as this move on the right lane works, I'm not out of it.
Yeah, like the right lane was honestly like
it was the tougher
better
lane.
well, at first it was like
the better lane.
And that's why when he did this, in my head, I'm like, dang, if he doesn't, the fact that he didn't strike on the better lane at the time, like in my mind, which was the better lane, but then it became the worst. I was like, that's when I was like, okay, Nate has a chance, because the fact that, and it wasn't necessarily better just because the way it broke down, like the carry and just like the way that it was like into the pocket, the carry just seemed better on the right lane than it was the left.
Right.
All right.
Well,
It's also so unlike him to have so many shots he fell off, like in the match.
He posts a lot of shots.
Yeah.
Big thank you to all.
by the way, we should mention something after this shot about upcoming Bull TV broadcasts. We have a bucket. The top prize for this PBA 50 RPI is $15,000.
Wow.
So find out who will advance to
I
that
thought it was
final
20.
right here on Bull
For the
TV.
seniors, I think it's 15 grand.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I really didn't look
I may
into that.
have.
I was just excited to qualify. So
I may have lied to YouTube, but it's fine. What's an extra 5,000?
yeah,
You know.
incentive.
Yeah. There you go. I wasn't lying.
Oh my. Yeah, the bucket is such a bear.
Like I always hook at that spare, but for whatever reason with urethane, that's what makes me nervous. Is like sometimes with urethane, like it'll, if you find like on a weird lane, if you find like a spot that doesn't hook, like even if you have rev rate, I feel like it could overhook and do that, or it like ends up and like bounces off. So like it makes me really nervous when people shoot like not straight when people are throwing urethane.
Yeah, I left I think 2 buckets this past weekend, and I hooked at one and I shot straight at one, and I made both.
Yeah.
So it just depended on the moment. I know when I shot a bucket earlier in the day, I hooked at it, and I'm like, just don't overhook. Because they were flat still, and luckily it didn't.
Yeah, especially when people are just throwing more urethane. I feel like that spare is just so hard to know what your ball is going to do, especially in like later rounds. Like maybe on fresh, like you know it's gonna hook, but when you have that where it's like clipped everywhere, and you're just like, okay, like it's just like a 50-50 shot at making that with urethane.
So at this point, he missed on the right lane, he missed on the left lane, and then he opened on the left lane. So I'm like, if I just figure out this right lane, I'm gonna have a competitive chance.
Yep, that's more at it.
That's right at it. Oh, a big break. That was nose first. Honestly.
Was it?
Yeah, so honestly right there, like everybody was saying it was like a big break. I didn't consider it like a massive break. It was the line that I executed. The shot was really good. It just picked up soon. And I'm like, it still had a fighting chance to carry everything or just like trip a 4-pin. It just went a little bit high. But I'm like, once I was locked in there and it struck, like it was just another small adjustment and we were good.
Well, I'm a big believer, and like you would probably, I get it's like different when it's like one game, but like there were so many over the top 7s you left over the weekend that it's like you give
that a 7-9, 4-5.
Yeah, you did 7-9 earlier in the day. So I'm like, if you like,
if I can get one, please.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just one of those where people look at it as a break to get lucky to win, but it's like, let's say he wasn't in first place and he was in second, and it was like a matter of 5 pins. You had 7-9 and over the top 7, where it's like, it's just like when they give them back to you, that just happened to be one of those where like the pins actually fell when you deserved it. Which, by the way, I watched Pat almost 7-9 with plastic.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of like 7-9s were like a thing.
Yeah, 7-9s were a thing, 4-5s were a thing, 4-9s were a thing.
But like the plastic 7-9 would have been like insane.
Oh, wow. Good heavens. The police may want to speak.
Threw that one out of my shoes.
Did you hear what he said? The police may want to speak to you after that. I love when Dave commentates because you never know what he's actually going to say.
You never know.
So this is almost right.
Should we just tell them our funny story that before me and Nate met, we were on the same show in college on TV for singles, and Dave commentated the show, and we were talking about it before they bowled, and he didn't realize it was Nate because his name was his real name. So it was like kind of funny. He's like, oh yeah, I do remember that after I went back and looked.
Right.
So
that was cool.
But yeah.
He stood up right away. Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah, another great shot by Colin, and it was so easy just to 9-pin this week. If your ball was going too high, so easy to 4-9 or 9-pin.
Yep. But a pretty unpredictable game now, so I don't know what's going to happen.
You are right, Dave.
Great shot, Colin.
So at this point, I'm literally like, obviously what's hard is like the whole time Nate had good reaction with ball reaction, but like Dave said, it was so still unpredictable. And it's like that right lane was becoming the harder lane. I'm sitting back there, I'm like, if he can just get this one on the right lane, it'll be good.
Yeah, I think I moved a whole like board on this next shot. Yeah.
A board. Right?
Yeah. No, left. You kidding me?
I don't know. A board.
Board left.
You feeling okay? Nate's moves are
it was
like...
a 1-and-1, and I'm like, I'm smacking the heck out of this one.
Nate's the guy who's like, yeah, I'm just going to move 15-3 just to see. And I'm like, okay.
When you see it, you see it.
There's lost. My goodness, no chance. This is the Nate Garcia that earned the #1 seed. If you're wondering, how on earth did this guy do that? That's how that guy did it. Just
that guy. That's
pure, raw
him.
Power.
Confidence, yeah.
The high heater Peter.
That's the question. Something is left. Hopefully,
he just tripped on a frog.
No, honestly, somebody like banged a chair really loud. It wasn't Colin, but somebody like way in the back left like banged a chair. So I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna restart.
I think it was someone in the pinball lounge.
Yeah.
Because they had it open and there were some people playing. If you guys are ever in Oviedo, they have a huge pinball lounge with like every pinball machine.
It's pretty insane.
For the win. For the win.
The pitch did
not the 4-5 wanting to stand.
That's, by the way, that's the only thing I didn't want to happen when I threw it. And by the way, I don't know I won at this point. I did not want a 4-5 in the first shot of the 10th. I'm like, just get a mark or something. First shot in the 10th. I honestly thought I needed a double, but just get it. And then when they fell, thank God. Like, I didn't want to shoot another 4-5.
If you guys, for context, if you guys haven't seen the vlog, which if you haven't, go check it out.
Go check it out.
Nate, of all people, almost 4-5, literally 3 times in a row. And
I did twice in a row.
Yeah, but he's lucky the first one didn't stand. So it was just kind of insane. We were just laughing that like Nate never 4-5s, and because he gives me crap when I 4-5 with urethane, so now he can't.
It's just because of how hard I was throwing it, and we were bowling on twister pins. Like, just the deflection of how the ball was going through. If it didn't go the right way, it was so easy to 4-5.
So I wanted to say kind of like on that shot, I was a little nervous because on that lane, you couldn't send it as far right. And that one went like a little bit further right.
It was a little soft off my hand.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty crazy. Like,
I just didn't know if it was going to shape.
Yeah. At this point, I'm looking right at the scoreboard and I'm like, I just won.
So I'll probably get a nice recap on the YouTube channel that he and his wife run.
You get 2 recaps, actually.
Wow. Just in case you didn't think he won, he won.
But there you have it.
At this point, I'm talking to Colin. I said that I hope, you win Player of the Year. I think that he is one of the front runners for it. He hasn't bowled every single event, but he's won twice, and he's had a great season. And I think he has a couple seconds, so he's always put himself in that position. And yeah, I mean, I just think that the kid, deserves it for sure.
Yeah, they're talking about it. He's finished second so many times, which is a testament. Some people look at that and be like, oh, he can't win. But it's like, honestly, even if you had 1 million second places in your life, that's way more than most people can say. Like, getting to second is not an easy feat.
Yeah.
So even if he had never won, like, he's still like, that's insane.
Yeah,
how many seconds
he has more seconds than I do. And like, so that means he's in the position more times than I've been. So
it's almost more impressive to say you have 1 win versus like 8 seconds, to be honest. Like, to make a ladder that many times. And he has a bunch of thirds and fourths too. Like,
yeah, he always puts himself in the position to win. And it's pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
especially since I think it's just his last name. That's just like a jinx. Like, it's gotta be, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh man, thanks for nothing, Pally.
Oh man, there it is. Nate Garcia, 235.
He hits the back 6.
At this point, I'm panicking because I know he's gonna come back and kiss me in front of everyone, and I was like, oh my God.
And I did.
It's like a happy, but also like, my husband likes me.
Yeah. Kind of.
Okay, I do have to tell you, the couple that was sitting in the back after he walked away, they're like, I'd kiss him too for $3,000. And at that moment, I actually like forgot about the check. And Nate told me later that he's like, literally, I was just thinking about the trophy. And I was like, literally me too. When Steve came over with the $3,000 check, I was like, oh, he actually won money too.
Yeah.
So we were on the same wavelength of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll keep him this week.
Yay.
So if we survive the hurricane.
Which we will.
Yeah, we will. But he's allowed to live in my house for one more week.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed the recap. It was a lot of fun to look back and actually hear what the commentators were saying. And yeah, it was a pretty roller coaster final match. But
thank you to Oviedo.
Yep, glad we got the dub. Thank you to Oviedo. Thank you to all the staff there. Amazing, amazing staff. Can't wait to be back next year.
If you like some recaps like this, make sure you comment down below and let us know. We'll do a couple more of these when we have wins or momentous things that happen on the channel. So if you like this, make sure you like and subscribe. The last time I asked, we somehow got a lot of subscribers. So I was like, do I have to ask? Should I ask more?
You guys already know what to do.
Yeah, so if you are watching this video and you got to this point, please like this video and subscribe. And thank you. And we will see you guys in the next video with an update if we survived Hurricane Milton.
We did. See you guys next time.